to my kitchen. Through this series of videos, I'm going to show you how to create really delicious restaurant quality meals for yourself, your friends, and your family. And I wanted to start by saying thank you guys so much for all the emails that I'm receiving. And I wanted to start off with one that I received from Mary in Minneapolis. She says, "Dear Scott, I recently returned from my first trip to New Orleans. While I was there, I completely fell in love with all Cajun foods such as gumbo, jambalaya, and etouffee. Do you have any other Cajun dishes that would be just as easy and good to prepare? Thanks in advance, Mary." Well, Mary, I actually do, and it's something really delicious, and it's something that a lot of people don't make often, and that's crawfish pie. There's a song about it, crawfish pie, blah, blah, blah. It's really good. And today it's pouring down rain outside. It's really cold, and there's nothing I like doing more on a cold, rainy day than cooking. So let's go in the kitchen and get started. Crawfish pie is one of my favorite Southern Louisiana dishes. And these are the things that you're going to need to get together for the recipe. But to start, preheat your oven to 450 degrees. That way when everything comes together, goes into the pie crust, it'll be ready to bake. To start, you'll need 1 pound of crawfish tail meat. And this is something, if you don't live in Louisiana, Mississippi, where crawfish are normally harvested, it might be difficult to find. But nowadays you can sometimes find it in Whole Foods or other high-end grocery stores. Here in Denver, I have a butcher that actually stocks it, so 1 pound of crawfish tail meat. To that, you'll need 1 cup each of finely chopped celery, red bell pepper, and onion. In Louisiana, that's called the Holy Trinity. Half a cup of butter, 1/4 cup of minced garlic. You can add more if you like garlic. 1 cup of heavy cream, 1 egg beaten, half a cup of panko breadcrumbs. Those are the Asian breadcrumbs, and I feel like those are just a better product than some of the other things you find in the supermarket. 2/3 cup of sliced green onions, 2/3 cup of minced parsley, salt, pepper, a 9-inch pie crust, and enough pie dough that you can make a top for it. You can make this or buy it at the grocery store, and a large skillet. So let's get started. Alright, so what I'm doing is getting the skillet heated over a high heat. I'm going to add our 1/2 cup of butter to that and let this melt. When it's completely melted, we're going to add our Trinity. So the butter is starting to melt, and that is good. One thing we don't want to do is brown it here. We're not looking for any sort of color on the butter. We just need it melted. And to that, I'm going to add our Trinity again, and that's the peppers, the celery, and the onion. And I grew up in Louisiana, and I love Cajun food, and I've always heard it called the Trinity or the Holy Trinity, but I have no idea why they call it that. So if you do, let me know. Alright, so I have the vegetables in there. I'm also going to add our garlic, and that can be adjusted according to your taste. And we're just going to let these saute until they get nicely wilted. That's going to be about 3 to 5 minutes. Alright, so it's been about 4 minutes. The vegetables are nicely wilted. And that's exactly the way we want them. We don't, again, need any color on these. We're not trying to brown them. We're just trying to wilt them. So to this, I'm going to add our 1 pound of the crawfish tail meat with all the juice that it came in. And I'm going to let this cook for about another 5 minutes. Everything's coming together nicely. We have the vegetables and the crawfish tail meat all in the pan looking really good. I'm going to add the 1 cup of really delicious heavy cream. I'm going to combine this, and we're going to let it cook or simmer for about 10 minutes. That's going to let the cream reduce just a bit. And then we can move on to the next step. It's been just about 10 minutes. The ingredients are looking really good. The cream has thickened quite nicely. So to this, what I want to do is add the 1 beaten egg yolk and the 1/2 cup of the panko breadcrumbs. Get that incorporated. We want to stir the egg yolk in pretty quickly so it doesn't scramble the eggs. And we want to make sure that the heat of the stove is about a medium to a medium low. We're going to add the green onions and the parsley. And we can go ahead and turn the heat of the stove off. Get all this incorporated. Now we're going to salt and pepper it to taste. Not really a measurement here. And one note that I wanted to make about this, at this point, if you added just a little bit more cream to this, it would make a really excellent topping for a pasta, like just regular spaghetti or some sort of other noodle. It would be really good. Alright, so I'm going to add our Tabasco sauce to taste here. I like mine a little bit spicy, so I'm going to add about 2 teaspoons or so. Everything's come together nicely. Now I'm just going to spoon this into our pie shell. Getting all of those good. So we got all of our stuff into the pie shell. Now then I'm going to take this top crust that I made earlier and get it right over that. I'm just going to go right around the edges and get that crimped together. It's okay if it's rustic. That is absolutely fine. You just want to make sure that you create a nice seal on the crust so the juice does not run out all over the inside of your oven. I've gotten the pie top all crimped together, and I'm going to take a little paring knife and just make 4 slits in the top to allow this to vent just a little bit. Again, the oven has been preheated to 450 degrees. So I'm going to take the pie, put it onto a baking sheet just to make sure if I don't have it completely sealed that I don't ruin the inside of the oven with the juice. So I'm going to put this in the oven. Into the oven it goes for 10 minutes at 450 degrees. After 10 minutes I'll check it. I'm going to reduce the heat to 350 and let it cook an additional 20 minutes. Alright, 10 minutes is up. I'm going to check this just to make sure that we're cooking nicely. It is started, the top is starting to brown, which is really great. I'm going to close the oven door and reduce the temperature now to 350 degrees. Leave this to cook for 20 minutes until the top is nicely browned. I'll get it out and go from there. Alright, it's been 20 minutes at 350 degrees. Just get this out of the oven. The top is nicely brown, which is perfect. We're going to leave this to set for about 10 to 15 minutes so the inside completely kind of comes together. And then we'll be able to slice it and serve. About 12 minutes. I'm going to take, and the pie is cooled just slightly. I'm hoping that the inside firmed up a little bit. I'm just going to take a knife, cut a nice sized piece, making sure that I cut all the way through to the bottom because that's one thing that can keep your pie from not coming out. Just get our pie spatula right up underneath it. Wow, that looks really, really good. Put it right here on my plate. I'm having a little green salad on the side with some dressing that I actually made up from olive salad. You can usually find that on the pickled vegetable aisle of your grocery store market. And pickled salad is a traditional ingredient for a Louisiana, or at least New Orleans sandwich called a muffaletta. So I'm going to put that right over top of the salad. Alright, I have got to give this a taste. It is absolutely one of my favorite dishes. The flavor is just really deep and varied. You have to make this recipe. It is delicious. It's not that hard. And once you locate your crawfish supplier, you're going to have an endless supply and you can start making other crawfish dishes. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this episode. As always, please feel free to email me, as other people have been doing, and I'm loving getting them, at scottindenver@msn.com. Love to hear from you, love to hear what you think about the show, and also suggestions on recipes or menu items that you'd like to have me prepare for you. Take care. Bye.